All right. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Adam. It's fabulous to have you all on board. Thank you so much for accepting this invite and coming over and for sharing your views on your business today. Guys, my name is Amit Kaushal. I'm a co-founder of a company called Enalito. We have a Shopify app, a BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Magento app, which helps you solve a lot of problems related to your marketing. So we do a lot of marketing emails, SMS campaigns. We also help you with your business analytics. We also help you with your business health score. And we also solve a lot of other problems that are linked to e-commerce businesses. Uh, that's about me and my company. Let me introduce Amy because Amy came first today on board. So Amy is the CEO of a company called Pink Stock. She's Bachelor's of Science in Journalism from Flagler College. She's Master of Science in Teaching, Elementary Education from University of North Florida. And she got her brand covered in Amazon's Choice Destination on the e-commerce platform. Um, Pink stock is sold by big names. They are being sold at Target, CVS, Walmart, Amazon, and at 6,000 stores worldwide, nationwide. And Pink stock's products are also being sold in 30 countries. Amy, thank you so much for coming over. I really appreciate your time and looking forward to speaking with you.
Yes, thanks for having. I'm super excited to talk with everyone.
Fabulous, wonderful. Uh, Over to Katie. Katie is the co-founder of a company called For Now. It's a retail incubator. We will talk more about that. Katie graduated from Boston University in communication. She's a marketing professional who develops and implements creative strategies. She has previously been a marketing director at a company called Crane and Lion, and she has a lot of expertise in brand strategy and positioning, e-commerce consumer experience and analytics, campaign development and execution, and copywriting and content creation. Thank you so much, Katie. You're most welcome on this panel. Looking forward to speaking with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Adam is a great guy. For some reason, I missed his bio. My bad. Adam, I would like if you can talk about yourself a bit.
Yeah, my name is Adam Singer. I'm the CEO and founder of Adam's Nest. I have a bachelor's in French and business from Washington University and a master's, an MBA in international business and marketing from NYU. My work history, I was a buyer for Bloomingdale's for 7 years, general merchandise manager for FC UK in the US for 7 years, global merchandising director for Ben Sherman, as well as chief operating officer for a family-owned e-commerce brand called Singer22. And I launched Adam's Nest by opening a store in Provincetown and opening online in 2016. The business is socially conscious, politically engaged, spiritually connected, and a bit naughty. And really the business operates, it's retail with purpose. So we work with lots of different organizations and queer artists to provide merchandise and education around various progressive political issues in the LGBTQ community.
Fabulous, wonderful, Adam. Great work. Thank you so much for the introduction. Let me ask my first question to Amy. Amy, you are in the wellness and beauty business, and you have really expanded well to 30 countries, 6,000 stores nationwide. How's the business pre-COVID, post-COVID? Are numbers back on track? Are you doing better than before? How are things for you?
So, being that we are in the wellness industry, a lot of attention has turned to individual wellness. So for us, it's been, we're definitely seeing that growth from people that are just paying attention to their overall health and wellness. So unfortunately, I feel like with the pandemic, it's brought people to a point in their lives where they're focusing more on what they're putting into their body. They're trying to be proactive to stay healthy. So, they're taking vitamins, supplements, things that maybe they weren't previously accustomed to taking on a regular basis. So we've definitely seen growth through the pandemic.
Excellent. Wonderful. And if I have to talk about your offline sales versus online sales, what percentage is offline and what is online?
So for us, we're about 60% online and about 40% in stores. So about 60-40.
So when I say online, how much of that is on your own website and how much is that on Amazon's and other channels?
That's one of our focuses for this year. We do quite a bit on Amazon, but we have drawn our attention to focus 2021 on growing our personal Pink Stork e-commerce platform even more. So that's a focus that we're making intentionally today. But you know, Amazon is definitely majority of e-commerce sales.
Since a lot of your sale is coming from Amazon, my question to you is, why should somebody not sell on Amazon?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone else has experience on selling on Amazon, but you know, Amazon it's a love-hate relationship for us. You don't, you know, when you're telling, our brand is very much a story, there's restrictions that happen on Amazon that are outside of the company's control, and there's nothing you can do about that. Amazon has the control when you're selling on their platform. And so, you know, the data you receive, it's all very limited. And when you push to your website, that's all information for your company, for your brand, for your customers. Like, you can just do so much more as a brand on your own platform than on Amazon, not to mention all the logistical headaches that Amazon can bring you.
All right. Thank you for setting up the context. I mean, really appreciate your time. Jumping to Kaity. Kaity, tell us a bit more about your business.
Yeah, so we own a retail incubator. We have locations in Boston Seaport and on Nantucket. Our mission and why we started this business was to help emerging brands grow through retail. So, for example, we would work with like Adam's Nest when they were starting out, or Pink Stork when they were starting out, you know, businesses that are doing most of their business online, but want to get in front of customers. So they come and work with us for a minimum of 3 to 4 months. And, you know, they're displayed in our store. We obviously get sales for them and introduce them to customers, but we also provide feedback to them as to what's working, what's not, what customers are saying. And so that's kind of what we were specializing in, was the physical retail. That changed in 2020 as stores were closing. So we're actually new. I have a lot of experience with e-commerce, but we hadn't had an e-com store for ourselves until 2020. You know, it wasn't something we were focused on. Our inventory changes so much. You know, like I said, our brands rotate through like every 3 to 4 months. So it just always seemed like a real beast to tackle. But we had no choice, and it's now going really, really well. And it's kind of one of those things that we're like, why did we wait so long to do this? Because it really did save our business in 2020 and is now about 50% of our revenue. And as people hopefully later this year start to shop more in person, it'll be interesting to see what that split is.
Interesting. So just to get more clarification on the business, Kaity, so you help, if somebody wants to start a retail business, you help them grow, you mentor them, you guide them to grow in the retail space.
Yeah.
Offline and online both?
I'd say online is more of a sales channel. We more give feedback on what happens in the store, frankly, because it's where we get the anecdotes and the tidbits, and you know, it's us asking customers what they think, but also overhearing conversations between friends and all of that. So yeah, that feedback really does come through more in person. But you know, we do obviously get feedback through Instagram direct message, or you know, we have reviews online that we share back with the brands as well.
how are you different from a marketplace, which is helping retailers to come on board and sell?
Like what sort of marketplace?
Huh?
Like what sort of, like what sort of marketplace?
For example, let's say Amazon is a marketplace. Anybody can come and sell on Amazon. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so are you providing a platform to the retailers where they can come and sell on your platform? What's the business model?
Well,
how do you charge them? How do you make money?
okay, yeah. So two-part question, I guess. I mean, how we're different from Amazon is we heavily curate the brands. Like I think, anyone can go on Amazon and sell, and there's not, from Amazon's perspective, like side of it, there's zero merchandising that they do. We bring on brands that we think have high potential and that would resonate with our customer, and products that we think are high quality and are thoughtful, are doing production really thoughtfully. So there are a big list of things we go through when bringing on brands. And then in terms of how we make money, we used to charge a combination of a flat fee plus a percentage of sales monthly. We moved away from that because we felt like even though our monthly fees were small, like $500 a month, it really was a barrier to get brands that we really wanted to work with. Of course, we're only 3 years old, so we were also building up our credibility and stuff. So we just take a percentage of sales now. And that's how we make money. So, e-com does help with volume and reaching a wider range of customers outside of the New England area.
So you mentioned that you were primarily offline until COVID hit us, and then you pivoted to being online. How has your mentoring changed post-COVID?
Sorry, how has our what changed?
Mentoring, the way you
Mentoring?
the way you mentor and guide your brands.
Yeah. The anecdotes we get in terms of like how things fit, like we do primarily work with clothing companies, so we get a lot of fit feedback. I'd say that's primarily the one kind of item that we report on. And so I'd say, that's the same, but now that we're online and reaching more customers, we are getting more, like I said, online reviews, and through, we're very active on Instagram, and we're always promoting our brands, and our following will respond to us and say, like, I love that. Like, can you get more of this? I'd say the digital feedback has just added to what we're giving back.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Thank you so much for throwing the first light on the session, Kaity. Looking forward to speaking to you more in the session.
Yeah, thanks.
Adam, what's your why? Why are you doing what you're doing?
To make the world better. I mean, we support a lot of different organizations. So I had purchased this space in Provincetown without a real clear idea of what I wanted to do with it. But I did feel if I ever wanted to operate an e-commerce, LGBTQ e-commerce business on the web, that it was really important to have a physical presence somewhere. And Provincetown was a place where queer people visit from all over the world. So I felt it was sort of a very strategic place to be able to have people experience whatever the brand decided to be. And I happened to open the shop and the business 4 days after the shooting in Orlando, and the summer before the election. And as someone who came out in 1985 and has watched the world change dramatically, it was really important to me that for queer kids, that we didn't move backwards. So whether it was supporting Gays Against Guns or Rainbow Railroad or Planned Parenthood or the ACLU, that's really been a driver of what the business is about. It's also it's the shop in itself is a queer space, it's a safe space, and it's a sex positive space. So there's lots of conversations that happen with customers face to face that really a queer person's not going to have that sort of conversation and experience walking into a straight environment. So as much as acceptance is great, those spaces do have importance. And when you live in Provincetown or spend a summer in Provincetown and start speaking to people from all over the country, and speak to people who are not from Boston or New York or Los Angeles, the experience of queer people outside the blue states is very different, regardless of their age. And then because of the political dialogue that went on for the last 4 years, it just really impressed upon me and the community just the importance of being involved and having a voice and speaking up.
Fabulous, wonderful cause, Adam. Great work. So you're focusing on the LGBT community, and what do you do for your marketing?
Primarily, we use Instagram, Facebook advertising has been the primary means. We do have an email list, and I did some advertising with Google this summer, but I felt that the biggest and best means and where I'm getting the biggest return on the ad spend is on Facebook and Instagram. And then a lot of the different organizations we work with, they have presences on Instagram. I also began selling a t-shirt. There's an account on Instagram that's called the AIDS Memorial, which is run by a gentleman in Scotland who anyone can submit 1 to 10 photos in up to 400 words, and they'll put up a post memorializing this person. And I had seen a t-shirt on it in 2018 that I wanted to purchase, or 2017 that I wanted to purchase, and there was nowhere to purchase the t-shirt. So I figured out who the artist was and contacted the artist and got in touch with the guy who runs the account in Scotland. So now, when I started with them, the account had about 40,000 followers. It now has in excess of 150,000 followers. I've shipped over 3,000 t-shirts to 19 countries around the globe. And that's just one t-shirt that we sell supporting the AIDS Memorial to bring attention to it, and raised, I think we raised about $10,000 for Housing Works and another $4,000 for SAGE and the Audre Lorde Project. But that's what the business is about. And as far as a lot of my marketing is sort of based around different organizations that I can work with and help be a voice and get the message out and raise money for them.
Fabulous, wonderful. So you mentioned that Facebook and Instagram are working best for you in terms of ads. What's your ROAS, return on ad spend?
I was working with an agency originally, and my ROAS would never get above like a 2.25. And I got rid of my agency last like a year and a half ago and started doing it all myself. And now it ranges, it could go anywhere from like a 4.5 to an 8.9, depending on what the creative is and the time of the year. So that's what the return is on the ad spend right now, which is I'm happy with.
You must be, because I have spoken to 100+ CEOs of the US e-commerce companies, and you are perhaps one of the best. So give us a secret sauce, man.
I think the clearest thing that I could say is I have a very specific niche, and my customer, I think the key is really knowing who your customer is and speaking to your customer and speaking with authenticity. If I'm talking about the AIDS Memorial, or I'm talking about some graphic t-shirt I did that has this information, this historical piece of paper that was handed out at Gay Pride in 1990, there's a lot of really interesting history that I share on the site. And I think the real key is just being authentic and knowing who your customer is. I'm not trying to be a fashion brand. I know the world needs another graphic t-shirt like they need a hole in the head. but there was a very specific political moment that we were surviving through, as well as last year was the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. So that also brought a lot of attention to it. And then there are key things historically that I've been really strategic about my content and search terms, and making sure on certain things that if you search for them, that I come up organic. Adam's Nest comes up organically at the top of the page. And that's really been my focus, was really just being on having the niche. I did accept Amazon Pay for a while, and then I disconnected from Amazon. When I worked for the small family-owned apparel business, we did start selling on Amazon, but Amazon was taking 15% of the profit. And then you had to follow all of their requirements as far as customer service. And then they were getting my data. So when I was accepting Amazon Pay, all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I don't need Amazon to know my data and know what my bestseller is. And I got off Amazon. So I don't use any other marketplaces. I do have a Facebook shop through Instagram, but I don't do checkout on Facebook because I'm not ready to live by their terms. Because, you know, whether it's free shipping or 30-day returns or whatever that is, like, I can't, nor do I want to. And I just feel the customer who shops with me, they're buying into a different thing, and they're not expecting that kind of customer service. I mean, if I was on Amazon, I couldn't write a handwritten note to the customer. Like, the information isn't there to contact the customer. And it's like this important touch that you have when you run a small business. I offer something that you can't get from someone else. I offer customer service you're not going to get if you bought it through Amazon. When people contact me and I'm like, oh, it's sale time, I'm sorry, I don't have this, but I have this. I mean, people are sort of shocked when a business responds to them promptly. And that in and of itself is a competitive advantage, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So I think a lot of people agree with you here. So Adam is clearly saying that you got to connect with your people authentically with stories, because at the end of the day, everybody is selling clothes or shoes or whatever. How is your story different? How are you able to connect with them authentically is something which Adam is focusing on. He is not a big fan of Amazon. As you can see, when Amazon takes away 15% of revenue, not profit, right? 15% of your revenue goes to Amazon, and it's a big chunk. So unless you have huge margins on a product, do not think of going to Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that happens with Amazon, I'm a business that I would say 50 to 60% of my product gives back to different charities. So if I'm giving back 10% or 25% or $10 or $5 and giving back another 15% to Amazon, it's like, there's no point.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Then your entire business is charity. Yep. If you bring in an Amazon element. Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, Adam, for setting the context. Appreciate your time. Amy, coming to you, how big is your team? How big is your business? And what do you focus on in your business?
So right now we have about 50 employees. And what did you say? How big's the team? How big's the business? I mean, we're in about 22,000 square feet right now. And we're like squished in like sardines. So, we moved into this space in 2018, and we came from a little tiny storage unit. So we've grown, we've grown a lot in the past 2 years, which has been really exciting to see. I mean, I started this, in my garage, and the past 4 years, it's just been a lot of growth and learning and figuring things out as we go. And so it's been really exciting. What do I focus on? I mean, I think for us, Adam was saying it, like, you have to focus on your customer. Your customer is is number one. We're really big about customer obsession, about giving them, you know, they're coming to us, they're spending their money with us. Like, we want to be very, very intentional and diligent about what we're giving them. So we are very customer obsessed here. Everything from the product packaging to the experience that they have when they open it, to the handwritten notes, all of it, the prompt, you know, responding immediately. All that makes such a big difference. And, you know, I think that for people that are starting a business or looking to start a business, like, you have to go above and beyond to kind of really capture customers' attention. You know, you need to respond immediately. If a customer is reaching out to you, you answer that question. Like, it's not a delayed response. Like, you answer that question, you do the shipping that the company can afford. And sometimes, even if that means losing money in the beginning, like, you know, we're competing against these big conglomerates, Amazon, Walmart.com, Target, like, they can, you know, pretty soon they're going to be dropping, you know, drones with your order right at their front door. So you have to find those advantages within your own company that set you apart from the masses.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you clearly, your team focuses a lot on the customer relationship and customer management and being prompt, and their delight is your aim. In your business, in an entire day or entire week, how much of your time goes into getting into customer complaints and making sure they're doing well? So in other words, majority of the time you do what in your business? You as the
majority of I think that changes given the season of, like, the life. Like, right now I'm focusing, like I said, we're so smashed in this space, we need a bigger space. So I'm working a lot. This isn't what I want to do, but I'm working out with, like, banks and figuring out commercial loans and new spaces to get into. Like, that's kind of the fire burning brightest right now. So I tend to go where all the fires are. Like, just give me the problem, give me the biggest problem. Like, that's what I'll solve. So, you know, I find my role a little interesting because I'm also the face of the brand. So I do a lot of CEO stuff, but then I'm also, like, the face of the company. And I try to be I'm very authentic in what I do. So I'm not going to try to fake, you know, what I'm doing. Like, if you want to see how I'm doing it, you know, watch along on Instagram, and I'll show you everything I'm doing. I'll show you the mess. I'll show you, I've got 5 kids. Like, it's not pretty, but I'm figuring it out as I go. And this is what works for me. So I hope you get some inspiration that if I can do it, you can do it too.
Fabulous, wonderful, great show. With 5 kids, you're putting a great show, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, it's a wild mess.
Thank you very much, Amy. Kaity, over to you. So what marketing channel works best for you? What ads channel work? How do you buy your customers? Where do you buy your customers? Where do you get your customers from? When I say your customers,
I kind of similar to what Adam was saying. We don't spend a lot on marketing, but where we do spend is Facebook, Google, Instagram, and Google. Google was working a little bit better for us until the Christmas season, and then it switched a little bit. We hired someone to run those ads for us. Like I said, I've been in marketing and e-commerce almost my whole career, and have had a very hard time finding, like, a really good consultant for this sort of thing to, like, run ads well and, like, know how to strategize about it, but also know how to run it and, like, go in and, like, do all that dirty work behind the scenes. It's a lot. Props to you, Adam, for doing it yourself. I know how hard that is. So she's awesome. Like, she's just so good at it. So she's been working for us since last summer, right after we launched the site. So that's where we're spending our money. And it is working really well for us. You know, we'll adjust the budget based on the month. Right now, we're not spending a lot, obviously, in these down retail months, but and then other than that, it's organic. You know, email is a great channel for us. We've put a lot of effort behind growing our list, and Instagram converts well for us. Same to what Amy was saying, we try to show as much as we can. And our biggest differentiator is we really tell the brand stories of the brands that we're working with. We're not just selling product, we're selling the brand and their story, and then especially their founder. So we do spend a lot of time highlighting founders. We think that the most successful founders are ones that are very involved and are the brand, essentially. So I think that just the fact that we focus on those things really speaks to customers and helps with conversion.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Excellent. Over to you, Adam. The passion in you is clearly very visible. How do you hire people with similar passion?
I'm a one-man operation.
Okay.
Literally. I mean, everything. So that means in summer in Provincetown, when it's not COVID, as I'm sitting listening to, I'm sorry, I forgot your name and it's not showing. As I was listening to Amy, and I was like, oh my God, 20,000 square feet. I was like, I operate the entire business out of 180 square feet. And it's certainly kept my overhead very low and allowed the business to be profitable. And I would say, because of COVID and because of the size of the shop, I was only allowed to have 2 people in the shop at any one point in time. So literally, it was myself and a customer, or I would step outside. So my shop is now basically a very well merchandised warehouse. And people can shop online and pick up in store. But yeah, I haven't hired anyone else, so it's really easy. So right now, the thing that I'm looking at, I mean, as I think about content and as I think about my age versus where the demographic is, I plan on reaching out through different LGBTQ organizations to see perhaps I can find someone who is really interested in writing about queer history and can write blog posts and stuff like that for me. I'd be much more interested in I need to find the right person who shares that sort of interest and passion. And that's what I would ultimately search for.
So right partner, you mean?
Pardon?
You mean right partner?
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point, I spend a lot of time thinking about how big I want the business to be and what it needs to be. And the shop, I could certainly open shops in very specific locations, but it's also finding the right space and the right rent or the right expense. I mean, my overhead is really low because I own the space. So that's made it's just a huge difference. So as far as finding more people, it would be really going to the same places that resonate and are authentic to what the brand is about. I mean, I'm the face of the brand. So if you were to go to my Instagram feed or look at my Facebook ads, if I've got 6 pictures on a carousel, I'm in one of them and the other 5 are my customers. So all the customers are generating all my creative, and there's a thank you card about tagging Adam's Nest and @tagging Adam's Nest and sharing your photos. And I mean, it's really, I've developed a community, and every now and then I have to step back and it's like, I can't believe that, I've shipped to 19 countries around the globe and I've got a 180 square foot shop in Provincetown. And when people look at the website and hear that it's a one-man operation, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. So summertime in Provincetown, it's a lot of hours. And this is the time of year that, I'll sit and I'll catch up on SEO stuff and editing images. I have a lot of different skills, so I'm able to do all of it.
Wonderful. So you're one-man army. Adam, where do you see your business in the next 4 years, 5 years? Where do you see yourself in the next 4 years, 5 years?
I'll have someone else fulfilling orders. I'll have someone else running the ads. I mean, it's those kind of things. I can only say that because it's the sort of business of retail with purpose, that for me, you know, as much as it's great to put money in the bank, like I'll get emotional about it right now saying it, but the actual experience of talking to people, when you have a mother come in and say to you, thank you for making the world safer for their trans child, there's no price you can put on that. So I've got a great year-round rental in Provincetown. I plan on spending my summers here, and obviously the time I spend in the store may change, but you know, the experience is so rich that I will certainly continue to spend my time in Provincetown. I will probably find warehouse space somewhere that makes sense. I'm not a fan of cold winters. So the last 3 years, I actually did a pop-up shop in Miami Beach during Art Basel, but Art Basel was canceled this year, so that didn't happen. So I have a good relationship with an queer hotel in Miami Beach that I work with. So in the next 4 to 5 years, probably find warehouse space somewhere in Florida, whether it's in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, and ship from there and spend my winters in Florida and come up to P-Town in the summer. And grow the web business. I mean, the web business, the internet was about 20% of the business prior to this summer. The internet is now 50% of the business. I ended down 3% on the year in a really difficult year, and that's including my retail space. But the web business really from, I wanna say, from about September onwards, trending anywhere up between 150 and 200% up over last year on the web. So if I can continue to keep the web business growing at that sort of rate, you know, I don't want to say I'm golden, but it's sort of, everything is sort of working the way it needs to work. I need more time. There's not enough hours in the day, but that's, as long as the customers don't know, it doesn't matter.
Wonderful. Great work, Adam. Really appreciate it. Amy, coming to you, what platform do you use to sell online?
Shopify.
Have you tried other platforms as well?
We did. Before, we just redid our website about a year ago, and we were on WooCommerce before that. But Shopify is so much better for us.
Why?
The processes, you know, we have over 100 SKUs. The checkout is smoother. I mean, you name it. There's so many, just hands down for us, so much better. And we had it custom coded that was just like a big mess. No one could get into the back end of it and change anything. You needed it was a mess.
Whose ass are you kicking for getting you onto WooCommerce?
No. So bad. I mean, when you don't know, you don't know, like mine. Didn't know.
Okay. So it's hit and trial, and you figure it out, and you talk to people, and you see.
Right. Yeah.
One platform to another is not easy. Yeah, there are a lot of obstacles which you have overcome. So you love Shopify, right? You're a Shopify fan.
Huge.
If you're talking about fan here, one question that comes to my mind is, there are customers who come and go. There are clients who stay a little longer with you, and then there are fans who love you. So how do you convert your customers into your fans?
So I really recommend a book. It's called Raving Fans, actually. Sorry, Raving Fans. I forget the name of the author, but it was basically, I read the book a few years ago, and then I made our whole team, the entire company, read the book as well, because I think it's that powerful. And basically we focus on just raving fans. Those customers will come and go, but we focus on, the book talks about, just getting 1,000 people, 100 people that love your brand, that love what you stand for, that love what you're doing, and that'll grow. They'll tell their friends. It'll be an organic growth. So, while you can spend a lot of money just bringing eyeballs to a brand, to a company, to a website, we really focus on knowing who your raving fans are and what your raving fans, what they want, what makes the customer a raving fan, and then retaining those raving fans and kind of letting everyone else that maybe isn't doesn't love your brand as much, don't worry about them. Like focus on your raving fans, because they're the ones that are going to help you grow the business, especially like in the beginning, in those first few years where you're, really trying to figure out, who your fans are, what your what your customers need, what their wants are, what they're thinking, all those things. So if you really can focus on growing raving fans, it'll happen organically.
Fabulous. Raving fans, it is, and is the name of a book?
Yes.
Raving fans, is that it? That's what,
Yeah,
okay. It was like raving customers, raving fans. I forget the name of, who's the author?
Revolutionary approach to customer service.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
Can I jump in with a question? I'm curious, how did you guys define your raving fans? Like, how did you kind of decide on those 1,000 people?
So we started off in a very niche category of morning sickness. It was kind of my own personal issue that I struggled with. So we really focused on helping that woman that was dealing with morning sickness when we were first starting. So, for the brand, for us, it was very relatable. Like I understood what she was going through, what she was thinking, what she was going. So doing all those little things that I know I would have appreciated if I had had a company or a brand that had helped me when I was dealing with that. And then we've just continued to grow with her. So now we're do all stages of life through all elements of a woman's life, from like her first period. So what that's like, and all the kind of, thinking about what that 14-year-old girl, or however old she is, when she has that first period, what she's going through, what she's thinking, what she needs, where we can meet her where she is, so on throughout every stage of life. So it's kind of different. It's very curated for the stages of life and meeting the customer where they are, and really personalizing it to them. I don't know if that answers your question, but you could get more specific for the stages of life.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's a fabulous question, Katie. Identifying who are your raving fans. Now, just because somebody is coming on a site again and again, spending a lot of money, so frequency and monetary, the two concepts of how many times they're coming, how recently they're coming, how much money they're spending on a store. That's definitely one factor which will help you identify who are your fans versus who are the customers which you're about to lose. For example, in Enalito, we have we do a grid system. We make a segmentation of customers where we are able to tell you, these are your raving fans, these are your loyal customers, these are your potential loyal customers, these are the customers you're about to lose. So the customer segmentation is very important, and that's how you're able to identify raving fans. Adam, you want to throw some light on your customer segmentation? How do you identify your raving fans versus customers you're about to lose? In other words, how do you do your customer segmentation to identify who to approach and how?
I mean, because I'm a one-man show, I know who's ordering regularly. And I'm down to the point of like, they don't get the same thank you card twice. They don't get the same message twice. I know what they're buying. I look at their prior sales. I try to follow the Instagram. I mean, it's hard because there's, once you get to a certain point, it's, there's 8,000, 9,000 followers. It's hard for people to stick out. But it's really sort of just knowing who the customer is. I mean, it's really hard. I would imagine as businesses get bigger, it's really hard, other than just like going through and segmenting and going like, okay, dollar value and average order value and last purchase date. But I mean, I could go from the top of my head. I mean, I know who they are, and I probably know their emails and their IG tags by heart at this point. But also, I mean, if a big order comes through, like yesterday, for example, we launched a new T-shirt that supports senior action in a gay environment, which supports LGBTQ seniors. And someone placed an order for 8 pieces, and you're like, who's buying 8 pieces of the same T-shirt? And because of technology, I can sit and I can Google the customer and see what they do, and and reach out to them personally and just, thank you. And I see, you purchased so many. Next time you're in Provincetown. I mean, it's very hands-on, and I'm certain, I have the luxury of being a small business.
Let's call it
an intimate connection with the customers. So it's a lot of it's just gut and paying attention.
Instead of calling it a small business, let's call it a growing business.
I mean, I'm a growing business too. So I don't denigrate growing the business. I mean, the customers who buy something and share it with someone else because the t-shirt supported Planned Parenthood, or because the t-shirt supported the Biden-Harris campaign, or the t-shirt supported Fair Fight. I mean, it's when people are sending you pictures from Gay Pride and Stonewall 50 and how many times they saw an Adam's Nest logo on the back of the t-shirts, it's something. It's my customers are my best marketing.
Sure, great. Amy, Kaity, what do you focus on in your business, and how big is your team?
We have a small team. I have a co-founder, and then we have right now one full-time employee, and then we have part-time employee, and then contractors. So our team will get a little bit bigger as we open our seasonal location this summer. But we are looking to add 1 or 2 more full-time people this year.
What do you focus on?
I right now focus on marketing. Like I've said, it's my background, and so I'm really the only. I mean, there are only 3 of us, so I'm the marketer. But I'm looking for help there this year. I mean, like you said, like segmenting customers, like it's just not something I have time for. I do know who our best customers are. Like we obviously have a small business, and we are very close with our kind of like our core customer group. But in terms of like knowing who's going to fall off or who is going to become loyal, like I just simply don't have time for that. But it intrigues me, and I would like to spend more time. So so hiring someone probably part-time at first to help with marketing. And then other than that, it's just kind of like the normal business things, like helping out in the store and, all the back end stuff that I don't love, like accounting and lease stuff. And, we're right now a big kind of time suck for us is, figuring out our rent deal, because this year has been crazy, obviously, and our in-store revenue does not support our rent, so stuff like that. And then figuring out where we want to take the business this year. Last year we had a female founders summit that we had to cancel the day before it happened because of COVID. It was supposed to be March 12th last year. We had 100 ladies signed up and some great speakers. And so we replanned that for this year virtually. That's in February. So that's required a lot of planning as well.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Great.
Yeah.
Amy, you are growing your business and you are in a lot of stores in the US. You're also selling internationally. Do you see your business running without you?
Running without me? I mean, that's a great question. That's hard to answer too. I definitely, if the business, it takes on its own person, it's its own thing. It really is. Like it grows into this, it needs a lot of things. So if it outgrew me, I for sure would selflessly step aside. And there might be a time where that happens, and that would be really exciting and really heartbreaking at the same time. But I also, my personal story is so tied into the brand and how it started. So, I mean, I feel like a little piece of me is always going to be in Pink Stork. So whether I'm like making the decisions of what the company is doing, I still feel like, you know, I'll always look at Pink Stork and see a little bit of me in it.
Perhaps I caught you on wrong foot. But my question actually was,
Oh, sorry.
but I'm glad you answered it. My question actually was, a lot of entrepreneurs are reluctant to put the business in autopilot and start a new venture, start a third business, fourth business. So do you intend to put your business in autopilot and move on to the next business, the next?
Right. Yes. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs that do that.
Entrepreneurs are the bottlenecks. So as a business start going up, they become the bottlenecks in the business, and that's what I have been learning. So we have two companies, and I'm the co-founder in both the companies, and we have business coaches, and they told us, Amit, you are the bottleneck in your business, so you got to move out of the equation. The aim should be, the objective should be, build a team that runs your business, build a system that run your business. Systems, so people will learn systems and systems will run businesses. And you put the business in autopilot and move on to the next one and the next one. Do you advocate this theory?
I don't know, maybe it's a little too soon to tell, but I definitely enjoy what I'm doing still, and I enjoy running the business. I enjoy facing the challenges that come, and those challenges have changed. You know, when you're growing a business, or we're still growing, but when you're a startup and you're starting the business, it's definitely different for the entrepreneur than when the business is at another level where you're making kind of different types of decisions and you're not in that startup phase anymore. And it's, you know, you're creating this systems to run the business. And so if I felt like I was holding the business back, yes, I would step out, and, you know, these systems would continue to run, but I don't think we're there yet.
Interesting. In this last round, guys, we have to wrap up, and I would prompt you guys, if you have any question that you want to ask to a fellow speaker, you can shoot now.
Caught me off guard.
Our businesses are so different.
I have a question, Kaity. How do you vet companies? So how do you decide which ones you want to work with, and more so, how do you what is the ones that you don't want to work with? What kind of choice is that? What does that process look like?
It's a very hands-on process. You know, we talked about systems. This is not a scientific system by any means yet. But yeah, it's very hands-on. I mean, we have a few ways that we find brands. We have an application on our website. We also do, you know, going down deep, dark rabbit holes on Instagram, and then referrals, which is probably how we get most of our brands at this point. So, you know, we suss out the typical things. You know, if online digitally looks like a product that we think would do well and sell well, and like I've said, is thoughtfully made. And then we'll reach out to a brand and then have a conversation with them about, you know, where they see the business going and how involved they are and how interested they are in working with us, and, you know, getting feedback. And, you know, our kind of alarm bells go off if founders aren't really interested in hearing any of that. It's just not a good fit. We want it to be a really collaborative partnership. You know, even though it's only for 3 or 4 months, if brands do well and our customers really respond to it, then they'll stay on for longer. So we do have a handful of businesses that we've been working with for over a year now. But I'd say the things we look for, again, is a really high quality product. And then a founder, like the two of you are very invested in into the business, and also are really relatable to your customers. Both of you, we call it the founder market fit internally. Both of you have that. So those are the things we look for, because we think customers really respond to that.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a graphics team or like, do you guys develop the marketing in-house or like the stuff that you're doing, or is that outsourced?
I do it all now, which I don't want to be doing because I'm not a designer. I mean, like I can do that, but yeah, I would like to kind of one of the things on my list this year is to find like a really good design contractor to help. And my husband's a designer. My husband's a designer too, so I you know, ask for his opinion a lot. So yeah, so that does come in handy.
Very cool. Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much. If you have anything, you can say it now, or I'll wrap it up.
It was lovely meeting all of you.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet everyone.
Good meeting everyone. Good seeing that other people out there experience some of the same challenges.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Like you said, our businesses are all very different, obviously, but similar in a lot of ways as well.
Absolutely. Guys, really thank you all for the fabulous meeting, for sharing your secret sauce. You guys are such givers. Did not shy away from giving away your secret sauce, your success mantras and success keys. Really appreciate talking to you. We'll be in touch. We keep conducting these sessions, and we'd love to have you board again in one of our future webinars. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous week ahead and stay blessed.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye. You too.